This call is being recorded.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, is this Anuja?
Yeah, hi, is this Fatima?
Yeah, how are you doing, Anuja?
I am good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great as well. So, are you ready for the call today?
I am.
Okay, great. And did you get a chance to go through the keyword list and mark the keywords?
I did. I am sorry I wasn't able to reply you, so I printed it out. I took a pencil and highlighted whatever it is that I understand and what is it that I don't understand. And then you had
Mm-hmm.
questions in purple, so I wrote brief answers against them so I can answer them to you right now.
Mm-hmm. All right. So maybe if you could just send me the keyword list or
Okay.
share it with me some way, like take a picture or something, if you have that in pencil, because I would like to know exactly what keywords you are familiar with, and then
Okay.
frame the rest of my conversation around the skills that you do have. Just the keywords. I don't need the rest of the stuff that we can discuss during the call, if that's possible for you.
Yeah, I can do that. I can do that tomorrow. I can send you the list of keywords from the keywords that you have sent me for each of these job
Mm-hmm.
descriptions. I can do that. I
Mm-hmm.
can send them to you by tomorrow, like in an Excel document. Does that help?
All right. Yeah, that will help. That will help. Okay, so having said that, I understand that you basically are aiming for three kind of different but overlapping positions. So product analyst, business analyst, and BI analyst, right?
Yep.
In terms of prioritizing these positions, because although each of these overlap in the sense that the essential purpose is that basically you are using data wisely to help the business grow, right?
Mhm.
Maybe through targeted product development, maybe by building new intelligence tools, etc., etc. But I would like you to prioritize your what roles you want to go for
Mhm.
instance, among these three roles, what would be your top priority? Because then that will help me make the resume more focused towards your intended role. And this I'm saying this because a more focused resume is more successful as compared to a more generalist resume, because you see that the resume has to go to through the ATS, right,
Right.
the application tracking system, before going in an HR person's hand. So
Mhm.
the system tracks and or accepts your resume based on keywords, right? And you mentioned that this was an issue in your resume already. You felt that there weren't enough keywords that matched the job requirements.
Mhm.
So if I were to ask you to prioritize the three positions that you have sent to me,
Uh-huh.
how would that be?
So, in that case, I would I would prioritize a business intelligence analyst. Basically, so my priority is a role which requires more team coordination, collaboration, and problem solving. So, out
Mm-hmm.
of the three positions that we have right now, I think product analyst supersedes because that requirements more of a cross-functional communication,
Mm,
coordination, team
different departments,
collaboration.
etc.
Yes, and then
Mm-hmm.
gathering requirements, laying down functional needs of the client to the team, getting the team whatever help they need in order to do their job, and at the same time making sure your team is getting what they want and they're happy, and there's that coordination. So I think
Mm.
product analyst would be the first priority, and
All right.
uh, after that there would be business analyst and then business intelligence analyst.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I'll keep this sequence in mind, and I'll
Mm-hmm.
make sure to give the product analyst position more weightage, the
Mm-hmm.
leadership part in it, the people management part in it. All
Mm-hmm.
right, that's a good start, and you do have experience in that domain, right? I believe that you have worked at this. So Ford Motors, I was a bit confused here. So Ford Motor, you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned that this is a client, uh,
Correct.
but then what was the company name that you worked at as a
So
business
I am
intelligence analyst?
so
Yeah.
I am a project management consultant, right? I'm a
Mm-hmm.
project management consultant of C Cubed, and
Mm-hmm.
Ford Motor Company has purchased C Cube services in order to handle their project management in the quality department, or let's say in the global product development department, GPDS. So
Mm-hmm.
we, although being the employees of PQ, we are contracted
Mm-hmm.
to Ford, and we work. We sit
Mm-hmm.
at Ford. We work at Ford. We have Ford IDs. So our client is for us. Our client is still Ford. However, we do everything. We're like M-type employees to them.
But when you say that they have purchased your services, that means, I mean, it's not kind of like an acquisition or something. They've just purchased your services as a client, right? You're working on this particular one Ford Motor project, or their main business project, right? Or is this kind of like an acquisition?
So consigned, like every year the what do you call contract gets renewed
Mm-hmm.
for the number of employees from PQ that will be working at Ford
Mm-hmm.
with it as a team for that
Mm-hmm.
particular client of at Ford. So we
All
can
right.
move from one project to another. I mean, as P Cubed, my P Cube manager can move me out of this Ford project to
Mm-hmm.
either a different company, which is working with P Cubed, or within Ford
Mm-hmm.
to a different team, because that team works for a different Ford client. But then again, the client is of P Cube. So they
All
can
right.
move me around. Yeah,
Yeah, I got that. So your company will be procured, and then Ford Motor Company is one of the clients that you have worked with.
correct.
I get that. Okay, so let's just begin with with your experience first, and then I'll come to the keyword questions. I'll be asking them within the experience section wherever they relate. So I understand that as a business analyst, intelligence analyst, or project management consultant, you have worked here with one particular client, Ford Motor Company. So
Right.
what teams, stakeholders have you worked with, and what was your main role and the scope of operations when you first joined? So just a little overview of your responsibilities, of the environment that you kind of like stepped in, of the things that were expected of you before we move into specific accomplishments and the specific projects that you have worked on.
Okay. So the key stakeholders for me when I joined in, and there were two projects that I was handling earlier, and then the one that I continued with is of a higher priority. So I had
Mm.
to hit a pause on the other one. Um, so my key stakeholders were, first of all, of course, my client, who was the quality project manager or product owner, and then the engineers at Ford, the PMTs, the core project management, and then subject matter experts within Ford.
All right. And did you also work on a project before this company, like another client project? Because you mentioned you did.
No, no. So when I started with P Cubed, they onboarded me for handling a different project.
All
So,
right.
and yeah, and then so that project was already in progress. I had to just maintain it. And then eventually that got low prioritized, and this one, which I continued working on, and I'm leading the development team. Um, um, that got prioritized, so I started working
Right.
on this project. Yep.
All right. So can you quickly tell me about that previous project? Just so you know, we have project experience there. So how big was the project and what was your role in that? Because you mentioned that
So
that was
that
already
project,
running, right?
hmm right. So it was that role was mainly so it was a very modular, like quick changing VBA macro to lay out product timeline of Ford. It is used by engineers and core PM to forecast a product timeline,
All right.
including all the company milestones and deliverables and durations and different enablers that affect a product's manufacturing. So there are a couple of factors that these teams these engineering teams, they want to include and see how effective it will be to have this milestone or this enabler in place, and how it will affect the timeline. It's hard to implement those changes on a platform like Planisphere or a different bigger framework, because that requires more cost. So
All right.
what happened is, yes, one of the timing program timing I want to say coordinator, he developed this macro on VBA, and it's a huge it's a big Excel file which has all the details and codes. So he created the macro, and one of the employees who was working before me, he helped to give the visual aspect to that macro. So you can, instead of seeing table, you actually get to see shapes leading to which milestone will get accomplished at what date, depending on what the user entered. So he developed it. The code was very hard coded. It was based off of some certain criteria. So when I onboarded, I basically maintained it based on the changes my client, which was before the timing coordinator, needed to implement. So every time he needed to implement a different change, add a new milestone, add a new enabler, have the layout adjusted of the visual timing that actually people see to assess how it's being affected. That is what I was maintaining. And
Right. So
then
you came on board to kind of maintain, upgrade, and add new features to an existing product, right? And I believe that this is
correct.
the product, the timing template tool that you already mentioned in the resume, right? This is the same
Exactly.
thing.
It's a vehicle program planning template too. Yep.
All right, and this was again for Ford Motors. So,
Again, yep.
tell me, so you mentioned that in the beginning, I mean, they wanted to see how and when they were able to achieve their particular project milestones, etc., etc. And this is why they collaborated with your
Company, yep.
company and developed this tool. So once this was implemented and once you took over and once it was kind of like running, did you see an improvement in the after picture? Did you see that they were able to achieve their goal? I would like to know more about how effective was this tool?
So the changes that I made, I actually modularized the code so it was more easier to maintain next time, because
All
earlier it
right.
was hard coded. So we had it running faster. And then of course there was so these program management likes to make a lot of changes just to see how they can improve the manufacturing of a vehicle. And this tool is the quickest way to show them that if you plan on making this big change, this is what effect it's going to be. It helps the core program managements and engineers and all the VPs to make a decision whether they actually want to make a change in their manufacturing process of a vehicle, or do they really want to introduce a milestone that is going to cause them a 2 week delay, or do they really want to get rid of these three small gateways which basically are just increasing timing, and they want to club it with the first and the last gateway. So this tool is like the quickest way for the seniors or the executives or engineers to assess and make a decision for a final procedure that they want to follow when they're manufacturing a vehicle.
All right. And you said that as the main kind of like product manager, not product manager, but like so
The
what
program
would be your
management team.
so you mentioned that you made the tool easier to maintain, right? That
Right.
meant that the users had better access, the users could use it easily. Would that also mean that?
Yes, it was faster. And then since it's a collaborative, so it's a collaborative tool. Half of the portion, half of the code is handled by Ford, and half of the code is handled by us as as contractors, as PQ. So I made sure that my client understood the dependencies that our code had on his changes, because
All right.
both the codes talk to each other, and every time he would make a change that would break our code, because our code was hard coded and dependent on specific things. So every time he wanted to make a change, it would break our layout, and then it's maintained by two people. So I made sure that I laid out dependencies by going through the whole code that my previous developer, whoever that person was, they created, and I communicated that to my Ford client, or my other half of the tool, who is also the tool owner actually. So I told him that, hey, next time when you make changes here, here, then you're going to break the tool. Apart from that, if you make any changes, your layout is still going to work. So he was very well aware that what all changes he can do around about it. And if he wanted to do the changes that will affect the layout, he would tell us beforehand so that we can work together and parallelly maintain it, instead of him changing something and then oops, the tool is broken because I changed something, and now I have to go and figure out where I need to fix the code. So it was an easier effort since two people were working on it, and I wanted to make sure that he knows what are the dependencies for our tool to pick from his code.
Right. And how much were you able to improve the tool in terms of how much faster did it get after you kind of improved the whole coding and
So made it more modular and easy to
yeah.
maintain.
So how
Yeah,
like if you were to give me like a percentage estimate or a percentage increase in the efficiency or performance of the tool, would you be
I
able to
would
do so?
say 50 to 60%. It's
50%, right.
it's faster, it's easier to maintain. If there is a third developer who jumps in because I am working on a different project, it's easier for the other person to understand it now, because now the codes are more modular. They are in different separate functions. They are less hard coded and more user friendly.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So it's
Hmm.
easier. So if even if you decide to kind of like let it be a client product at the end of the day, so even if you decide to pull out of the project, the client teams will be able to, the program management teams will be able to handle it themselves, right?
Agreed.
Just
Yeah.
saying this. All right.
Yeah.
So this is one good thing that this you have developed this, not developed, but you are running and improving this particular tool.
Mhm.
All right. So coming to your key project. So you mentioned that this was a low priority project. So what else did you do with Ford Motor? We were on the subject of the stakeholders that you worked with, right? So what kind
Correct.
of projects did you worked on one main project other than this? So can you
So
tell
I'm
me
still
more
working
about
on
that?
it. Right.
All right.
So
Mm-hmm.
I'm still
So
working on
I
it. Hmm.
All right. So this is an ongoing project. I would love to know more about the nature of this project again, the reason why it was started in the first place, because
Hmm.
that will help me understand the challenge more. And then how far have you come along this project? What value have you given to this project up till now? And then we'll
Hmm.
talk about the results or the expected results.
Okay. So when I was onboarded, with my skills, I think my employers they kind of onboarded me for the project I am actually working on right now because they saw I had skills for data visualization and data analysis.
Mm-hmm.
So the project started was given to my client before I onboarded. It was basically an idea initiated to have this dashboard which summarizes a product health amongst different departments on on an executive level. So let's say you are a vice president of a big company, right? You have five different departments who work on the final product that your company develops, and you do not have time to go to nitty gritty details for each how that product is doing in each of these departments. However, it would be helpful if you had one spot where you could see an overall health of this product that just started from the design phase and is going through a build phase and then will go through a testing phase. And it'll be easier for you to track its health, like how many issues it had, how many were resolved, what's its current state, are there any testing issues, how severe are they, do they need your attention, um, whether you need to reach out to an engineer to see that, hey, what are the problems you're having, how can we help, or what are the concerns. So to even go to that person, you need to see it on a higher level at one central place. So we are designing this it's a click view dashboard which integrates data from different departments, you know, starting from your engineering design studios to your tooling, your different purchasing, your technology issues, to your global product development issues, to how your deliverables are doing in that product development, how are the teams rated, what's the team rating towards those milestones, deliverables, and how's the product basically doing in one place. So you come into this one dashboard, you just pick a program or pick a product, and you can see how in each of these departments that product health is going.
All right.
So yeah, from a business perspective, if your product is passed through some of these initial department phases, because you know that in order to even start a product, you need to make sure that your technology is 100% green, right? And if you still see there is a red, that means your technology is facing issues, and you need to reach out to the technology team to have an assessment or just dig into it. Then you can take it from there. You can go to each of these sources because they have their own individual way of tracking their data. But before you even go into the individual source, we're trying to give them a summarized view of this data before they decide to go dig deep into that one particular department's data to understand and learn, or to see where the actual problem resides, or how's the help.
All right.
So
And
that was the
what?
proposed idea.
Mm-hmm. All right. And how
Mhm.
far have you come along with the project?
So right now, so we planned on releasing this project in batches.
Mm-hmm.
So our first